All right, everyone, get ready because today we are going deep on Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Oh, excellent choice.
Yeah, it's one of those books that I've heard so many people reference over the years and finally had a chance to really dig in.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting one because I think we hear the phrase all the time, start with why.
Right.
But um do we really know what that means?
Yeah, what does it really mean and where did it come from?
Yeah, and then what do you actually do with that?
Right.
Like how do you implement that concept?
It's a really powerful idea, though.
It is. It is. So for those who maybe haven't read the book or need a little refresher, what is the basic premise of Start With Why?
Well, the core idea is that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Okay.
And this applies to pretty much everything
It's interesting.
from, choosing a product to joining a movement to even just like deciding where to eat lunch.
So it's more about connecting with the motivation behind something rather than just the thing itself.
Exactly. And Sinek uses this really cool model called the golden circle to explain it.
Oh, I like visuals. I'm a visual learner for sure.
Tell me about this golden circle.
Okay, so picture three concentric circles. The smallest one in the center, that's your WHY. Why do you exist? What's your purpose?
Okay, got it.
Then the next circle out is HOW. How do you bring your WHY to life?
Makes sense.
And the outermost circle is what? What do you actually do? What products or services do you offer?
Okay, I'm seeing the circles in my head.
And most companies communicate from the outside in. They lead with what they do.
Right, right. It's all about the features and benefits.
Exactly. And maybe they'll touch on how they do it, but very rarely do they really dig into their WHY.
It's like they're assuming we already know WHY they exist, which isn't always the case.
Right. And Sinek argues that's a huge missed opportunity. When you start with WHY, you create this deep emotional connection with people.
You tap into their values, their beliefs, their aspirations,
Absolutely. It's not just a transaction, it's a relationship.
and that's so powerful. It is. Because people are more likely to support something they believe in, even if it's not the cheapest or the most convenient option.
Okay, so it's not just about making a sale, it's about building a movement.
That's it. And Sinek uses some really great examples to illustrate this.
Oh, I love the examples in this book. They really bring the concepts to life.
Me too. One of the most famous ones is Apple.
Ah, Apple, the classic example.
Right. They don't just sell computers and phones. They sell the idea of thinking differently, of challenging the status quo.
And their marketing reflects that. It's not just about specs and features.
Exactly. It's aspirational, it's emotional, it taps into that desire to be part of something bigger than yourself.
It's like they're saying, if you believe what we believe, come join us on this journey.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why people are so fiercely loyal to Apple.
I mean, even I'll admit, I'm pretty deep in the Apple ecosystem. I've got the phone, the watch, the laptop.
I know, me too. And it's not just because the products are good. It's because we believe in what Apple stands for.
Right. And thinking about that Apple example, I'm remembering another point Sinek makes about starting with WHY. It helps you stay adaptable, right?
Yes. When your focus is on WHY, on that core purpose, you're not locked into a specific product or service.
It gives you the flexibility to evolve and innovate while staying true to your core values.
Exactly. Look at how much Apple has changed over the years.
Yeah, they went from computers to music players to phones to watches, and who knows what's next.
But through it all, that core belief in thinking differently has remained constant.
That's so interesting. So starting with WHY isn't just a feel-good philosophy, it's actually a strategic advantage. It helps you connect with customers on a deeper level.
Right. And it allows you to adapt to changing times without losing sight of who you are.
This is all making so much sense. Okay, so we've established that starting with WHY is important. But Sinek doesn't just tell us to start with WHY, he actually explains how it works, right?
Oh, absolutely. He dives into the biology of decision-making, which is fascinating.
Yes, he talks about how our brains are wired.
Exactly. The limbic brain, which is responsible for our emotions and gut feelings, is actually the part of our brain that makes decisions.
Wait, so you're saying we make decisions based on feelings, not logic?
To a large extent, yes. Especially when it comes to things we believe in. Think about it. When you buy something, you might justify it with logical reasons, but the initial impulse often comes from an emotional place.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, I might buy a certain brand of coffee because it's fair trade and organic.
Right. But the underlying reason might be that you believe in supporting sustainable practices, which is an emotional connection.
Yeah, I feel good about making that choice.
Exactly. And that's what Sinek argues is so powerful about WHY. It taps into that emotional part of our brain, the part that drives our decisions.
So when a company communicates its WHY effectively, it's speaking directly to that part of our brain that says yes.
Precisely. It creates a sense of trust, of alignment, of belonging.
Okay, I'm starting to see the power of this. So it's not just about manipulating people's emotions, it's about tapping into a fundamental aspect of how we make decisions.
Exactly. And when it's done authentically, it creates a win-win situation.
The company connects with its customers on a deeper level, and the customers feel good about supporting something they believe in.
It's like finding your tribe.
I love that. Okay, this is all so fascinating. So we've covered the basic premise of starting with WHY, the golden circle model, and the biology behind it.
Yeah, we're starting to get a good grasp of the fundamentals.
But I'm curious, how do we actually put this into practice? Like, what are the steps to defining and communicating your WHY?
Great question. And that's exactly what we'll be diving into in the next part of our deep dive.
I can't wait. This is getting good.
Stay tuned because we're about to unlock the secrets to finding your WHY and using it to inspire action and create lasting change.
Ooh, I love it when you say things like that.
Get ready to be inspired.
All right, everybody, stay with us. We'll be right back after a quick break.
We'll be right back.
And we'll continue our deep dive into Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
I'm excited for this.
Me too.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into Start With Why.
Okay, so last time we really laid the groundwork for this idea of starting with why,
We did.
the golden circle, the biology of decision making.
Well, our brains are wired, yeah.
Yeah, all that good stuff. But now I want to know, how do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah, how do you actually find your why?
Exactly. Is there like a formula, a step-by-step guide?
You know, it would be great if there was
Oh,
like
okay.
a simple 3-step process, but it's a little more nuanced than that.
Okay, so no magic formula. But there must be some guidance, some tips.
There are. Sinek talks about this a lot in the book.
Yeah.
And one of the things he emphasizes is the importance of looking inward.
Okay, so introspection, self-reflection, all that jazz.
Exactly. Because your why is not something you just come up with.
Right. It's not like picking a slogan out of a hat.
Right. It has to be something that's deeply rooted in who you are.
So it's about uncovering something that's already there.
Yes. He talks about it being like an archaeological dig.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
You have to excavate your experiences, your values, your beliefs.
So like looking for clues, for patterns.
Exactly. And one of the questions he suggests asking yourself is, what's your origin story?
Oh, interesting. Like, how did you get to where you are today? What were those pivotal moments that shaped you?
Yes. And it might not be just one big defining moment.
Could be a series of smaller experiences, even.
Right. Like, think back to your childhood.
Oh,
What were you passionate about? What did you dream of becoming?
I was obsessed with dinosaurs. Wanted to be a paleontologist.
There you go. And even though you didn't become a paleontologist, that passion for discovery, for uncovering the mysteries of the past, that might still be part of your why today.
Wow, that's so cool. I never thought about it that way. Okay, so exploring our past, our passions, those are good starting points.
Yeah. And another thing Sinek suggests is paying attention to what makes you feel fulfilled.
Okay, so what brings me joy? What gives me energy?
Exactly. When do you feel most alive, most engaged?
What gets me out of bed in the morning?
Yes. Because when you're aligned with your why, work doesn't feel like work.
It feels like a calling.
Exactly. And that's how you know you're on the right track.
So finding your why is this ongoing process of self-discovery, of connecting the dots between our past experiences and our present passions.
Yeah. It takes time and reflection.
And probably a lot of digging, like that archaeological dig you mentioned.
It's worth it, though.
It sounds like it. Because when you find your why, it changes everything.
It gives you clarity, purpose, direction.
It's like you have this compass guiding you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of clarity, Sinek also emphasizes the importance of being able to articulate your why clearly.
Okay, so it's not enough to just feel it in your gut. You have to be able to put it into words.
That's right. Because if you can't articulate your why clearly, how are you going to inspire others to believe in it?
Right. It's like trying to lead a movement without a clear message.
Exactly. And Sinek suggests a really simple framework for articulating your why.
Oh, I love frameworks. Tell me more.
It's called the why statement.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And it follows this format. To insert your contribution, to insert the impact.
That is pretty simple, but I can see how it would force you to be specific.
Right. It makes you think about what you're actually trying to achieve, what difference you want to make in the world.
So, like an example could be to inspire people to live more sustainably so that we can protect our planet for future generations.
Perfect. That's a great example of a why statement.
It's concise, it's clear, it conveys a sense of purpose.
Exactly. And when you can articulate your why in this way, it becomes much easier to communicate it to others.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all comes together. Find your why, articulate it clearly, and then use it to inspire action.
That's the essence of it. And once you have a clear why statement, you can start to use it as a filter for your decisions.
The celery test.
Yes, remember that.
How could I forget? It's brilliant.
It helps you stay focused on what truly matters.
Like a compass guiding your choices.
Exactly. So before you make a decision, ask yourself, does this align with my why?
If it doesn't, it's probably not worth doing.
Right. It helps you eliminate distractions, stay focused on your goals, and attract the right people and opportunities.
Okay, I love this. So finding your why is not just this personal journey, it has a ripple effect on everything you do.
Absolutely. It impacts your decisions, your actions, the people you surround yourself with.
It's like this guiding principle that shapes your entire life.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so powerful.
This is all so insightful. I feel like I'm starting to understand this concept on a whole new level.
Me too. And what's really exciting is that we're just scratching the surface here.
There's more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore how to use your why to build a movement, to inspire others, and create lasting change.
Okay, I'm already hooked. This is getting good.
Stay tuned, because it's about to get even more inspiring.
Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into start with why.
And this is where it gets really exciting,
Oh, how so?
because now we get to talk about how to actually use your WHY to make a difference in the world.
Okay, I'm all ears. I feel like we've built up to this moment.
We have. We've talked about the power of WHY, the golden circle, the biology of decision-making, how to find your WHY.
Even the celery test, which I'm obsessed with.
Right. It's so helpful. But all of that is just the foundation.
Okay, so what's the next step? How do we take all this knowledge and actually do something with it?
Well, Sinek argues that a clear WHY acts like a magnet, attracting people who believe what you believe.
It's like building a tribe, a community of like-minded individuals.
Exactly. He calls it building a megaphone.
A megaphone. That's an interesting metaphor. I liked it.
The idea is that when you have a strong WHY, it amplifies your message, it reaches more people, it inspires action.
So it's not just about shouting louder, it's about resonating with the right people.
Precisely. It's about attracting those who are already aligned with your values, your beliefs, your purpose.
The people who are ready to join your movement.
That's it. And one of the key ways to build that megaphone is through storytelling.
Oh, I love a good story. Stories are so powerful, they stick with you.
They are. And Sinek emphasizes that stories are how we make sense of the world, how we connect with each other.
They tap into our emotions, our values.
Absolutely. And when you share your WHY through stories, it becomes more relatable, more human, more inspiring.
It's not just a concept anymore, it's something we can see, feel, experience.
Exactly. So think about the stories you can tell that illustrate your WHY, the stories that show the impact you're making, the difference you're creating.
Okay, so stories are important, but is there anything else we can do to amplify our WHY to reach more people?
Well, Sinek also talks about the importance of authenticity.
Being true to yourself, walking the walk.
That's it. Because people can spot a fake a mile away.
Right, they can sense when you're not being genuine.
Exactly. So make sure your actions are aligned with your WHY. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk.
Lead by example.
Exactly. And this applies to everything you do, from the products you create to the way you treat your employees to the way you interact with your customers.
So it's about consistency, about making sure your WHY is woven into every aspect of your business or organization.
Absolutely. Because when you live your WHY authentically, it creates a ripple effect.
People are drawn to that kind of authenticity.
They are. It inspires trust, loyalty, and ultimately, it creates a movement.
A movement of people who believe what you believe, who want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Exactly. And that's how you create lasting change in the world.
Wow, this has been such an incredible journey. We've gone from the basic premise of starting with WHY to understanding the science behind it, to discovering our own WHY, and now to using it to build a movement.
It's been quite a deep dive.
It has, and I feel like I've come away with so much more than just knowledge. It's like a shifting perspective, a new way of looking at the world and my place in it.
I feel the same way.
So, to wrap things up, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
I think the most important thing is to understand that starting with WHY is not just a good idea, it's a fundamental principle of human behavior.
It's how we connect with each other, how we make decisions, how we create meaning in our lives.
And when we tap into that power, when we live our WHY authentically, we can achieve incredible things.
We can build movements, inspire change, and make the world a better place.
Exactly. So go out there, find your WHY, and use it to make a difference.
That's such a great message to end on. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. It's been an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. Until next time.
Keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep starting with WHY.